Hey folks, it's Troy. Just a quick video here to show some new acquisitions. Since I haven't really posted much for videos here recently, been really busy with stuff like school starting up for the kids, our church activities, work projects, that kind of stuff. So hadn't really done a whole lot in terms of doing videos. But wanted to show you just today. Today was a pretty good pen mail day for us here in my household, and every so often we get some of those days. That doesn't mean these are the only pens we got recently, but I'll share with you both my wife's stuff that she just got today, just because they're on my desk and I finished inking them up, and so she's got her stuff inked up, ready to go, and I ink my stuff up. So she got, first of all, just an ordinary old Jinhao 886. She did not have one in her collection. I've got one, my son has one, my mother-in-law had one, so she ordered a nice little black one, and I went ahead and inked that up with Rohrer & Klinger Leipziger Schwarz, and it didn't write very well. I had to do a little bit of nib work on it. It was fairly ink-starved, so after just a little bit of work, I'll show you the difference. Right down here at the bottom, it's not a bad black ink, but it was showing kind of gray, and I had to go over lines a few times. Said, all right, obviously needs a little bit of nib work. I mean, it's a $2 pen, but still. So I went ahead and did some work on it, and because of that work, it started to write really juicy. I got it so it's not quite as juicy right now. It actually does a little bit better. Those lines right here. So that's one down. It's a solid little pocket pen. I can't complain about them. If you're just looking for something to chuck in your pocket, something small and compact, those little Jinhao 886s actually do fairly well. That's the only one out of like the 4 we have in the family that have given us, that's given me any kind of a problem at all. Another one my wife bought that I'd never heard of before. It's another Chinese manufacturer, I do believe. Dikawen. Dikawen. Personally, I've not heard of them. I don't know if it's another brand that's being sold as a different name. I haven't got a clue, but it's a Dikawen 898. I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, but it's kind of a pretty pen. It's got the black. It's got a two-tone trim, so it's got the black lacquer here, but it's got the gold trim here, and it's got the silver cap with gold trim. So it's actually a fairly attractive pen. I looked at that, I said, that's all right. And it's good and hefty pen. It's a metal pen, and it's got a good weight. A lot of the weight is in the cap, though. When you take the cap off from it, it's actually nowhere near as heavy, and it fits okay in the hand. It's not too long, not too short. The grip is kind of, it's got a pattern on it, almost like a guilloche style pattern, but it's not too bad. You get a little step down into the section, but it still holds fairly well in the hand. It's going to be a little off balance though. When you post it, it does post securely, but that really back weights that pen, and it does fairly well in the hand. So she got a medium nib on those, like we are wont to do in my household. So that's her latest addition. Her collection's really growing. I'm looking here at her spreadsheet. She's got like 41 pens in her collection. And she's only started collecting those not too long ago, and went on a buying spree of inexpensive, mostly Chinese-made pens, and some of them have done fairly well. I've always said pen collecting does not have to be expensive. I mean, you know what my pen of the day is today, just because I can? It's this little 99-cent Ahau that came with a bunch of cartridges, and to me their cartridges are crap, so I flushed them out and put in some decent ink. I got like a Diatramentis Blackberry ink in here today, I fought with these. I've got one, Matthew has one, my mother-in-law has one, my wife just got one probably by the same manufacturer under a different name with a different cap on it, all of which are cartridge fed. The only thing I don't like about them though is those cartridges are not standard international. I've tried standard international cartridges in these pens. They don't work. Those cartridges don't work in pens that take standard international and doesn't say. So I've been flushing out cartridges, and the ink was pretty crappy anyway. So anyway, it doesn't have to be expensive to collect pens, although I rarely use pens like that anymore. When they run out of ink, that little Ahau there, I'll probably just flush it out really well, flush out a cartridge. Who knows, maybe I'll just chuck the cartridge because I've got a bunch more in the drawer. Enough said about that. So those are my wife's two. The Dikawen, don't know. But actually it's a fairly nice pen, sturdy and heavy, and her Jinhao 886. So I grew up in an area that had spectacular foliage during the fall. I live here in North Carolina, on the eastern half of North Carolina. We get some fall foliage, not a tremendous amount. If you go to the mountains during our fall in the Blue Ridge or along the Blue Ridge Parkway, it gets to be gorgeous, and it kind of reminds me of the old Kankamangas Highway up in New Hampshire. And heck, even where I grew up, the foliage was pretty good. But you got to get towards the mountains to really appreciate it. Well, I can appreciate it now just sitting here at home. This is a Levenger True Writer. It says right here, Levenger, and then you go around, True Writer. So it's got the gold trim. This is meant to resemble fall foliage. So you got the greens, the oranges, the browns, the yellows, some reds thrown in there. It's just like autumn. I saw this pen, it's a little gaudy, but I thought it was right pretty, just because I enjoy the foliage colors. And I can enjoy foliage colors now all year long. So it's got that gold tone trim to it. The finial, it's got more of the same fall foliage. On the bottom, same stuff. It's just got that gold tone trim around the top in the bottom. So it screw cap, and it's got a nice little medium nib on it. It wrote a little differently than I thought it would. I filled this up with a J. Herbin Amber de Bermanie. Amber de Bermanie. Trying to go back to my French class. But anyway, I kind of like it. It's a nice writing pen. It's a beautiful pen, if nothing else. It's a beautiful addition to my collection. I like that. And that's the only reason I ordered it, is because I thought it was just a beautiful pen. Levenger had a decent reputation from most folks that I've seen that had them, so I went ahead and bought it. So I got this on sale, $45 or so. And two other pens that came today for me, there was a charity auction online. So I went ahead and put in 2 different bids on 2 different pens, and I won them both. So the old faithful Pilot Plumix, I hadn't had one, the old squid pen. Did not have one in my collection. So for just $5, I was able to pick up a Pilot Plumix. And it writes fairly well. I mean, it's not bad at all. It's got a nice little Pilot medium nib on it. Fortunately, I have Pilot cartridges over in my drawer, and I didn't have another converter to put on it, but that's fine. This kind of pen here, it's just plastic, the whole body through. It's you got a lot of tactile sensation there. It's got faceted grip, so you get more of a triangular faceted grip. So you're going to hold there and not even come down towards the section there. So a little screw-on cap on the end. Now, you want to post it? Fine. It posts just fine. Because that cap is so small and so light, it does not throw off the balance of it. And, not a tremendously expensive pen, not a fancy pen, but, it's an inexpensive, nice little writer. That's what it's known for. Another pen that I got is a brand that I'd heard about, that I know that some people who like upper-end pens tend to get. This particular one is not one of their upper-end pens, but it's still a nice one nonetheless, and it's a Danitrio. And it's a very elegant-looking pen. It's got that deep blue with gold trim. And it's just a flat bottom here. So, I saw this, and the thing is, there's no engraving, no marking, no nothing on the pen. I've seen, they had a link to a seller who had other pens like this for sale, not incredibly expensive. I got it for at least $10 less than what it was being sold for by another vendor. But, well then again, I got it for an auction, and did fairly well. $22.50 is what this was, so not too bad. It's got a nice little nib on it. It writes very nicely. That's what I did like about this. It holds nicely in the hand. It's got a nice little, you got this gold and a step down where the screw threads are, and then you've got a plastic section, and you got plenty of room to be able to grip it. It's not a very big nib, but it writes very smoothly, and it's all metal. it's a very nice pen. It filled nicely, wrote nicely. Now, it's not as long as I thought it, or would actually hoped it would be, because I'll take this off. It does fit just a little short in my hand, the way it feels. You can write with it unposted, and because it's a little heavy, you go to post it. Well, first of all, let's see, does it post? No, it doesn't really post that way. But wait, there's more. There's some screw threads right there, just beyond that gold trim. So guess what? Yes, now it posts very nicely and securely. But it is a little back weighted, with that cap being a little bit heavy. But still, I think I would probably write with it still being posted, only because even though it throws off the balance a little bit, it's a little back weighted. It makes it long enough so it fits better in my hand. That's just me personally, but it writes very smoothly. So let me show you how each of these did write in the inks that I put in it. Now, this was the Pilot Plumix, and this is just a cartridge that came with it. Wrote smoothly, not too bad. It's a cheap Pilot. I didn't expect a lot out of it, and it did okay. It did not disappoint me as far as my expectations. The Amber de Bermanie from J. Herbin. This is what the True Writer from Levenger wrote like. It wrote okay. I gotta be honest though, the Danitrio wrote nicer than that Levenger, and I paid more for the Levenger than I did the Danitrio. But so I put a Pelican Royal Blue in the Danitrio, wrote very, very nicely. And of course the let's see, what else did I put in here? Oh yeah, the Dikawen 898 with a medium nib. I put the Lamy Black in that sucker, and it wrote fairly decent. It was actually a nice writing pen, and a little heavy. So we got two very nice metal pens, and we've got one just really beautiful multicolored pen, a squid pen. Those are our new additions. We'll be working on some more videos. I may go in depth on all of these pens at some point in time, but for right now, I just wanted to share with you the new stuff. So, catch you later.